Siambonga, Siambonga, Simbamundi, Siambonga, 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 Simbamundi, Siambonga. Chilalumba, 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 Chilalumba.
The experience goes like this. She was on the real side in a Skype session with Dwayne, Reba Zartars, some of the new kids, Kelsey, Chris, and others. Reba Zartars was telling about her and listening to what we were saying. In another scene, he was talking about her Facebook post. They began to go into each post, into each scene, and it was a live scene showing things. Like being in a movie, feeling and experiencing everything, actually going through them like they were memories, in and out of these different scenes. So they went into one Facebook post, and this Facebook post that she shared was about the destruction of the earth. Her family was there, her sister was there, and her sister was standing on the edge of a cliff. There was a huge gap. And she was saying to her sister, we need to pack our things because we have to go down there. And it will not be easy. It's not really a place to live. And if you're not ready and you're not prepared, you will be buried down there. And the sister says, oh, no. We'll be wonderful. It's all going to be wonderful. We're going to be supported and rewarded and encouraged. And it's only one level down. And she is telling her sister, no, this is going to be a disaster, trying to wake her up. And they will not pay attention. There are many, many people now at the edge of this cliff, and they're not paying attention. And Reba Zartars shows her that it's going to be horrid, absolutely horrible through this gap. And she could see this, but the others couldn't. Her sister couldn't see it, these other people, her family. And he showed her there was a huge earthquake about to happen. And the people were still just not paying attention. Down there, it was like abandoned wilderness. It was not a place for living, with an asphalt floor. And then she was concerned about her friend with 2 kids. So then RT took her hand and said, you have to go out of the scene. And so then they went to another post. And it was hard for her. All of these different posts were going through all kinds of emotions, and they were hard to go through for her. And she was telling RT that she didn't want to go in all of these. They were like memories, and she was feeling everything, and she was suffering. It was the suffering going through these experiences. And then Reba Zartars showed her something like a comedy, and she didn't quite understand it. It was with 2 people, and they were riding motorcycles. And they were doing grandiose tricks, and they were hitting themselves in the ground very intensely. And she shouted at them, what are you doing? You're going to kill yourself. And Reba Zartars says, they are not afraid of what they are doing. They will just have to learn. Death is always knocking. And she can hear the sounds as she's writing this to me. She's writing me her experiences, and she's telling me she can hear the sounds. And RT was going back in the scenes, and he was correcting some things. And sometimes she was happy, and sometimes she was very, very sad, and even crying. And then she was watching Reba Zartars' face the whole entire experience. And RT sends her impressions saying that this will all pass her by. All this difficulty will eventually pass her by someday. And Reba Zartars was also telling her about the all is.
Yeah, the part where everybody's standing there in the crack and looking down, etc., and the whole idea, and again, it's a warning, isn't it? And it's really the consciousness is what's taking place. You know, that's really the warning. It's not necessarily the land's going to break up. That can happen too. As things do happen. A lot of these things are man-made, like Haiti and whatever. These are with HAARP. But it's really the consciousness. And so, and it's going to become dangerous because people are funny. It's interesting that, in the crevice there, in the big crack, and down below there's asphalt. And again, asphalt represents the earth, doesn't it? Why would there be asphalt down there? You know? Yeah. So it's kind of a symbolic experience that she's going through there, and she's trying to warn them. And again, it's like in Independence Day where the aliens are coming and everybody gets on the roof and has their signs and is cheering them on, doesn't realize that, no, this is not good. Yeah, it's not what people think. Yeah, they look at disaster thinking, oh, this is great stuff. Yeah, let's go for it. When it's not. The up and down parts where she's going into the experiences and in and out. And yeah, this is where we go up and down the steps. Steps are just a symbol of, going up and down the ladder or whatever, going to the lower worlds or up back to the higher worlds. So we go down and we have experience. And then we go back up to kind of overview our experience. You notice in experiences also, she's laughing, she's crying, she's going through all these things. And that's okay. We go through all these things and, this is part of the wake up. Is to go through all this stuff and all the hell and the havoc. And this is where, people come down here, you might say down, but it's really not up or down, but we go through this process, and this is where a lot of people, they've come into this life, and now they don't want to face it. They just create a la-la land, and that's it. Or it's like, okay, love is everything. Okay, so I don't have to think about it because I have my la-la land set up. Love is everything. So that they just blanket it. And this is where they're not really seeing what's taking place and also learning to make better choices and waking up with those choices, you see? That's why the world is like it is, because it's been agreeable to all the demise. And this is where the boys are taking us through all these experiences, and that's why we're scary. Just like I created that group, Dwayne and Ava Scary. And that's just one idea. And we're just simply showing people what's going on compared to what others have decided. The whole idea is that, people, they create all this stuff and then they go, oh, I didn't do that. I don't know who did that. We didn't do it. What does the government do? They create all these things, the chemtrails, whatever, the GMO food. It's like, oh, we don't know how this happened. We didn't do it. Yeah. So, people create a position of denial because they already have their la-la land set up. And they're making the earth the home. So again, in experience with the big crack, see, it all implies. You go back there. Now people are shown what they've created, just like her sister in the experience is going, oh, it's all going to be really good, whatever. See, we created this gigantic mess. We created this city and all these things, and it's going to be really good. Yeah, no, it's not. It's a trap. It's all pollution. It's all detrimental. It's just going to make you old and stupid. So again, going through all these experiences head on, and this is where too, she's the Braveheart, she's taking it head on, because she wants to wake up. It's all about waking up. That's why Rebazar is taking her through the experiences, through what she's deciding, etc. And just like this too, she decided the hydroponics. She's making a better choice. And so it's showing that, see, it's showing up like that, see? And so she'll get an objective view. It'll be very, very interesting, an overview of what she's decided.
The other experience she shared is exactly like this picture, this blue and white picture. And in her experience, she was actually the woman in this photo, and she was going towards the real light very directly. And Ava was installing these crystals on her clothing. And Ava was sending her directly to the real light. This was her experience.
Shiambonga, 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 Shimbamundi, Shiambonga. Shiambonga, 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 Shimbamundi, Shiambonga.
The question is, in Paul's books, he talks about the confrontations and his 3 dramas, Talons of Time, East of Danger, and 3 Masks of Gaba. He explains the shadows he experiences and also the influence. when reading Dwayne the Great Writer's books? Is it the same influence, and is it the same confrontations?
Oh yeah, it's the same thing. It's like we all breathe the same air. So that's Talons of Time, East of Danger, and Three Masks of Gaba. Paul just wrote it in his own way. Yeah, that's all. And so, yeah, of course. Again, it's wake up time. It's waking up to what's really taking place. And you see that most people don't want to wake up. They want, again, they're looking for their la la land. Kelsey, you and Val are out there. And as an example, when you're asking people about the chemtrails and whatever, when they don't know about these things, when the city council doesn't bring it up, et cetera, and all these issues, all right, that's really going on, they're agreeing to them. They're actually agreeing to them because they're not confronting them. They're letting them happen. So that's agreement. It's an unconscious agreement. Sometimes it's conscious or unconscious. If they want to wake up, then they decide, are you going to just keep letting it happen, or are you going to let people know? Then it's agreement. Then what they're really saying is they're agreeing to it if they're not going to do anything about it. So it's just like us, these situations, on letting people know about the influence, and Paul was too in his own way, but it's more difficult to see the influence there. You see the drama. Okay, Paul's was more of drama. I made mine more fun, like kids' stories. In other words, I give the impact, but I made it easy. Paul did it in his own particular way. And actually, how he wrote the regular books, like Flute of God and Key to the Secret Worlds, he wrote it a particular way. But when he wrote the novels, they were more on edge, so to speak. He didn't write them in the same vein. He didn't write them the same way, you see. So I'm getting to the impact of things because the world is more impacted. But I try to make it fun, but people take it as a criticism. But it's not. It's really a warning and showing people what they're agreeing to. And if they don't do anything, again, the idea, I just love everything. Again, it sounds like Marilyn Monroe or Jane Mansfield, doesn't it? It's like, I just love everything. Is that going to do it? That's still agreement. Are these people stepping out there and sharing the new you, showing people how to wake up? No, because they're afraid, because they want to protect their la la land. It's like, I'll tell people about this or that, or I'll share these little videos about this or that, or these little things, but, no, I can't tell them about that, because then they'll wake up, and you know what, that'll disturb my la la land. They'll come after me. Okay, but that's what we're here to do, you see? We're here to learn, and we're here to confront what's really going on from what we've created to see everything. That's what we're doing. It's all about a wake up, yes. But it is the same influence, yes, that we're dealing with. And it's all about agreement. So the influence doesn't exist unless you agree to it. And it's okay to be a conscious effect. So if you're really that great health person or whatever, and you go have a pizza and a beer, you don't want to feel guilty about that. Okay, there's some influence there, but so what? You can handle it. It's okay. Yeah, so it's not that we're Puritans here. That's not the idea. We just go through the experience. We do whatever we do. We just make sense of it. This is where people ask me about certain things. It's like, well, am I not to do this or that, or this is karma or whatever? It's like, well, there are no restrictions. You do whatever you want. You'll figure it out. And this is very real. We're just very real now. I expect people that as they've gone through and come to this point, that they make sense of things. You might say we protect each other. When we see the mob out there and all these things going on, which they're under the influence, because the influence is having fun with this and the gods of man, they're laughing. Well, we can be creative and just simply give up our agreement and utilize these facilities. That becomes the difference. And this is what I'm trying to implement as we move out here. We don't do it the same way. This is where the corporation has segregated themselves. They've actually created discrimination against everybody else, and then they just schmooze it over. Well, you go have fun on your path and Baraka Bashad and all this. They just schmooze it over. They don't want to wake up and see what's happening, so they pretend it's not happening. And they pretend they're in their little heavenly worlds, and it's all taking place as it should. Let the earth destroy itself and what have you. But we're stepping in and we're getting involved and we're getting the real experience. We're getting the real wake up where they're just sinking deeper and deeper into their la-la land. It's all the same influence, but it's how you work with this reality, because it's not going away. The God-devil idea and whatever ideas are out there, these things are not going away. And people still haven't woken up to what a fallacy that is. It's like the God and the devil are arm wrestling each other constantly. It's really kind of humorous. This influence is to better understand how it works, because it is part of the wake up. All of creation is fine once we see it for what it really is. And it's a process that we must go through so that we can recognize all this. See, this becomes the new wave. The new wave is the bigger picture. And this is where it scares people. Again, the reason why it scares them, first of all, they've been programmed to fear. All right, they're afraid of themselves. All right, that's what they've created, which we all have. And second of all, it will disturb their la-la land. A lot of people have a good life, and they don't want that disturbed. These books that Paul wrote and what I wrote are warnings of people. These are warnings, but they're not waking up. They're thinking it's all good. It's no, I have a good job here. I'm selling pharmaceuticals. I'm making a lot of money. Look, God has blessed me. See, that's where they like to use the God idea, because God is the cow, you see, and the cow will bless you with all these things. It's going to keep promoting these things because that's what the cow does. So people in their minds think, well, God has blessed me. This is all good, when actually it's creating their demise, and they don't see it. Yeah, everybody's going to the same place eventually, but it just depends. Maybe, maybe not, because again, you can get trapped in creation for a long time. So you can do it this lifetime, or you can hope, and have faith and believe that you'll do it in a future lifetime. Oh, you can use the three big ones. Good luck on that. You see, you can keep chasing those. So there's always a bigger picture here. Yes, thank you for asking.
Siambonga, Siambonga, Simbamundi, Siambonga, 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 Simbamundi, Siambonga, Chilalumba, Chilalumba.
He shares that he's been talking with a third inmate of the Crony Joni Corporation, and he's been trying to wake this third inmate up. This third inmate actually has cancer, so for the past 2 to 3 days, he's been trying to wake him up and present what is taking place to him, and he's been doing many presentations like this. And the question comes from his friend having something psychic that he has said to have brought the energy from a different planet to Earth. And this particular instrument has many effects, that being of healing and some other things that we're not really aware of. And we're just really not sure of the capabilities. And this individual also sees that this creation will create karma, but supposedly knows a way to dissolve the karma. So the question is, could this be used for a benefit?
Okay, so he's got this energy. Okay, it's like electricity in your wall. All right, so we've got that electricity in our wall, which is very powerful, but we don't see it. You touch it, you're dead. Then again, it can run a lot of things, right? It can do a lot of benefit. It just depends upon what you do with that. All the energies that we call energy or source or whatever are all the same. They just appear differently. So if it's laser, electricity, whatever, it's all from the same source. It's all the same thing. It's just applying itself differently. So again, it's how you apply it. We're in the atomic age. This energy has been released, hasn't it? Like the atomic bomb. It's still from the same source that electricity is in your wall. But the electricity in your wall is contained to where the atomic energy, it's contained to a certain point, but it's built for destruction. Is what it's built for. You look at the application and people think, okay, well, I brought this from another planet, whatever. Well, really, there's no such thing. Okay, because we have the same thing here. You don't bring something, you might bring the idea, okay, but you don't bring the reality with you because everything is here and now. So everything is available here and now. He can't just bring that. He's bringing the idea and he's applying the application. So I would simply look at what he's applying it to, and people play around with these things, and they go, well, we can heal people with this, we can dissolve the karma, whatever. Okay, so, all right, that all sounds good. It's like healthy food, eating healthy food. Oh, I'll have a healthy body, and I'll be okay. Well, all right, so is that it? Yeah, okay, let's have a healthy body. But the end result is, what does that have to do with the bigger picture? The all is, recognizing the is, has nothing to do with it. So I'll take just living with nature, and I don't need any of the hocus pocus or whatever, because I don't need it, because it's all about recognition. Yeah, the whole of life is about recognition, and it's not about all these little magic tricks that we're doing here. People are coming up with inventions all the time and saying, this is unlimited energy, it'll save mankind. Well, nobody can save mankind. That's a fallacy, because most people don't want to be saved. They're agreeing to the demise of the planet, and they're very happy with that. They're having barbecues and eating hot dogs and GMO hamburgers. Hey, they're very happy with their demise. And they're going to get very upset because they're drinking beer too, and they're going to beat you up if you try and change their mind, because they're going to tie you up and put you in a bag. So the thing is that people are very happy with their demise. Again, it's an individual choice. I would kind of go with caution. It always sounds good, just like an investment or buying a stock. But I've been through so many things myself and realized that no, only one thing has value. That's the is and the recognition of it. And everything else, I'll take it accordingly if it does apply somewhere to the projects we're doing. That's my take on it, but what these people do, that's their thing. Again, it's like the healers out there that do laying on of hands and whatever. This is all astral stuff. And whether they get the karma or not, okay, they're healing the body, but are they providing a real recognition for the individual? So, you can heal the body for lifetimes after lifetimes after lifetimes, just like the old healings of Jesus or whatever. How long did they last? It only lasts for so long, and you're just going to grow old and you're going to get weird anyhow. So again, it's realistically how it's applying. Yeah, that's all. So it's not good or bad, right or wrong. Everything's a wake up. So the individual has that. But again, we use these ideas. Well, I brought this from another planet. That's a great marketing ploy. It is. It really works good. And you can make a lot of money off of that. Just using that little idea, gee, you can make millions. And then you have your La La Land set up. And then where are you? Have you recognized the is through that? No, you've got nothing. But it seems like you've got something, for the few moments that it exists. So again, this is where we learn discrimination too. We learn to see what's really going on. It's the seeing, the being, and the recognition, isn't it? Yeah, you learn to see what's really going on, what really has real value.
Shiambonga, 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 Shimbamundi, Shiambonga, 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 Shimbamundi, Shiambonga.
This next question is similar to the previous from the same individuals, and they write telling that they have received a particular instrument. It has reached them from the ancestors, from the age of Solomon. And in this age, they use this particular instrument to work with other beings and to work with aliens and contact aliens in particular ways. And the same question applies, and that is, can this device or instrument be used for the benefit with the projects? He also mentions that with this instrument, in those days, they were using it to catch reptilians.
We've got these ideas from the past. This sounds like an Indiana Jones movie, doesn't it? Exactly. And if you saw the 3 Indiana Jones movies, from the first one to the, the Golden Casket, which was really the first one, and they did the ritual stuff and all the demons came out, and it was not good. It was not a good party, okay? And so everybody was all excited, but it was not a good party. And then you have the second one where, things were going on too, and it looked really cool for a while. Everybody was dressed up. It kind of looked like Halloween, the Temple of Doom. It was a cool idea, but it just didn't work out, did it? And then you have the Last Crusade where it was the cup of Jesus and all these things. Again, does that give you a hint? Is this all creation? Nothing works out here. Doesn't matter how good it looks, or from King Solomon or whatever. Who in the heck was he? We don't know if he was a pre-Nazi, you know? You don't know that. Why? The Bible says he was cool. The Bible was written by the reptilians. All that stuff is rubbish.
Exactly.
So it looks really cool, just like Warren Buffett and George Soros and all these Bill Gates. It's like invest in this stock or whatever. It's going to be really good. That's what we're doing. You know, it's all baloney. Invest in what? More demise? That's really what it is. Now you see, this is a wake-up call. This is why I've created these projects. I'm not going to say, hey, don't do it. No, it's not about that. It's not about that. I would say take it as far as you can go. I always go through the adventure. But if I've been there before, then it's like, no, I don't need to do that because it's a waste of time. But many times I will go through the adventure to see where it goes. So again, working off all ideas, it was from King Tut's tomb or whatever in the heck it was from. That's just marketing ploy. It's from another planet. Again, the Palladians use this or whatever. Okay, these are ideas. And this is where people need to learn to separate ideas from reality. It all breaks down to one thing. It's like the electricity in your wall. We can say, oh, gee, this came from the Martians. God sent us this. Jesus used toaster, and he had 110, whatever. Okay, they had outlets in those days, whatever. So does this make sense now? Yes, we have things in the physical sense. We have things with our emotion, our memory, our mind. All these things are fine. They're not negated. But overall, why are we here? You know, we've played with these things for lifetimes, untold lifetimes. And this is a good question, and that is that, no, now we're recognizing the all is. You see, now things are better. Yeah, they're so much better. So it's that recognition, because now we get to the point where we don't need the physical body and the physical struggle anymore, because we're an awesome awareness. And we can redesign ourselves, you might say, I'll just use that term, to where we can move through anything. And we don't need anything of a secondary nature. All we need is our recognition. Now you start to see a great difference between what's going on in the world and what Harry is saying up there, and the politicians and the Queen and the Pope. They're dumbing people down with words and ideas and making them emotionally attached to them, which are nothing. They're just giving them ideas to live with. It's just the idea. But the reality, like what's going on in this world, will run wild. It really will. So if this fella brings this idea out or whatever, what's going to happen? Someone's going to steal it. You know, just like in the first Indiana Jones movie, Hitler wanted.
Ark of Covenant.
Yeah, the Ark. Yeah, the Ark. That's it. Yeah, that bucket. So again, the end result was not good. So they found it too, and they opened it up. Everybody thought, oh, it'd be the big party, like on the building with the aliens in Independence Day. Well, it was not good, you see. And that's really a hint, is that these things eventually, because you're dealing with the psychic forces, you have cause and effect. And this is where people think, oh, I can control this. We can get rid of the karma. These are ideas. These are ideas in people's minds, and it's demonstrated every day that it's not so. It only gets worse. Paul warned about this too. These forces come in disguise. In other words, people get hooked up to something, they find out something that's working. The TV evangelists putting their hands on people and they're falling backwards, and the guy's waving his hand over the crowd and they're all dancing and doing weird stuff and whatever. You see, if that's really affecting them, or they're just acting, let's say it's really affecting them, is that a good thing? That's a good exercise routine, but really is it? Does it make sense? And can they stop it if it's really affecting them? These things always come up. When I was in the corporation, there was all kinds of things that came up. And Paul talked about this all the time because he was leading people to the bigger picture, which is what we're presenting now. Paul had a tough time. It was like dealing with a bunch of wild horses. People went left and right and whatever. During Darwin's time, there was a bunch of higher initiates that got together and they started to concentrate on a rose unfolding. And I remember this day. Patty Simpson, I talked to her about it, and she says, I don't know about this thing. She didn't get involved. But there was higher initiates all over the United States, I don't know how many, that got involved, and it started to create storms and weather conditions like HAARP. Darwin had even sent out letters to this effect, that you're to stop doing this or I'm not going to take on the karma anymore with it. He actually sent out letters. I remember the letter that he sent out because of the focus that people were having. They were like doing it once a week or something like that because they thought that in their minds that this was their spiritual unfoldment. And this was the idea that they had. Just like the old days where people are celibate and become vegetarians and all these things, they think, okay, well, I'm this, I'm celibate, I'm vegetarian, and means I'm spiritual. Again, all these connotations and ideas that have nothing to do with the whole of life. This is where the spiritual idea has failed. Because it's not that. And people have all these ideas about it, and they're all fake. You've even got witchcraft and all these things that are involved. They do everything. That's why I clean the slate. I don't want anything to do with any of this stuff. Taking a look at the people, and I look at people, how adamant they are with their ideas, the real focus is the all is. First starts off with the new you. Learn to recognize the all is. That's what we're doing. From everything we're doing, that's the whole idea. And if that isn't there, then there's nothing, really. Where is this idea going? And you know what? It's just going to bounce around in creation. That's all it's going to do. And you watch the people that are dealing with it. They think that they have awareness. They've discovered something. Like you see in the movies. The movies are a great example. People, all of a sudden, they discover some buried treasure or whatever. They start to divvy it up. Then they start to get greedy and they start to kill each other. And all kinds of things happen at the very end, etc. It always turns into some kind of chaos because people think that they have an awareness or a control. You might say know how to handle or manage their situation when they really do not. And where does it really all go? It's very, very interesting as these things come up. But they are good comparisons of what not to do. As I came through the corporation in all those years, I needed to see that very wholeheartedly as to what not to do, because all of a sudden you're into these things and it becomes very scary. It's like, how did I get here? You know, just like in Lord of the Rings, and all of a sudden the king says, how did we get here? Step by step, you did. And now that's where you are. We don't want to be there. We want to do better and make better choices. So the is our focus and our pivot. And as we share these real side experiences, we do better where the rest of the world is not listening at all. It's not that we figure everything out. No, we're not going to. It doesn't matter. But we know about the is, and we keep going. Thank you so much, because it triggers a lot for me and others to, say something about what's going on, because there is so much going on in the world. We really do want to pay attention, because the world is really a very desperate place. It's not to be taken for granted. And many people do. This, again, is where they are in their la-la land. And there is no la-la land here. There's nothing but predators around. We walk through the streets, we laugh, we giggle, we go to the restaurants. And are you paying attention? Yeah, you do these things, but the whole place is full of predators. Just presenting and talking about anything or getting in a group, and all of a sudden you're suspect. Yeah, this is how the world really is. And anything can happen at any given moment. We see people on the news being taken away all the time. Well, all of a sudden, when it becomes real life, it's all around us. Yeah, it really is. But at the same time, we take the risk. Because if we don't, then we're agreeing to all the suppression, and it's only going to get worse. Because this is what's keeping the suppression going, is the agreement. People keep agreeing. They're afraid to stand up. It's never been easy. I can't say what a person should do. I really can't. I just do what I do. And each person, they make their decision. Ava and I are asked all the time, well, what do I do in this situation? What do I do here? They want to hear some great words or great philosophy. Well, it's not about that. It's really about what you decide. I'll give you the basic idea. That's where it's very important for us to create a position. This is why I step by step bring people into the projects and what we're doing, and more focused with that, because it's very, very important. Otherwise, we're scattered. This is the real strength of what we're doing, just like the real guides. They stand with each other. And this is what I'm demonstrating here. And as people come and go, they don't see the bigger picture. They really don't. But it's their choice. They think they're going to go off like the people that have come and gone, and it's like they're going to go off with their little attitudes. Well, it's not going to work. It will to a certain point, but what makes sense? Where are the guides really? Who are they standing with? They're standing with us. because the overall, my intent is to do something wonderful for everybody. And that's what the projects are. We need the projects, you might say. We really do. Otherwise, we're just a gathering with an idea. As we do the project, it becomes a physical reality that is demonstrated, just like in your dreams. It is demonstrated to people. And just like Val running for office, there's the establishment. He's not there to blow up City Hall. It's like, okay, let's blow it up. Well, blowing up your car in a demonstration, it's like, oh, I'm going to sacrifice my car for this demonstration. Okay, now what are you going to drive? So maybe it was a Ford and you didn't like it. But the idea is you still could have driven it. It could have still been useful. But you wanted to sacrifice it. Okay, you wanted to drive to a building, into the Federal Reserve building or whatever, to make a point. Well, okay, you did it. 5 minutes later, it means nothing. What Val is doing is he's utilizing what has already been created. We may not like what they're doing, which is understandable. It's very realistic, but at the same time, can utilize and work off the situation. And it's not about winning or losing. That's not the idea. Nobody wins or loses anything here. The idea is that he still gets to work off of that. There's three basic ideas: waking up, becoming more aware, and making better choices. There's the big three again. Really, all you have to do is stick with that. I'm not here to fix these things. I have the new plan, and here it is. Wake up, become more aware, and make better choices. That's the new plan. So let's get together and make a new plan. And that's what we're doing here, creating this universal community. And that is that we're supporting each other to do something real and wonderful. Who has the courage to do that? We've given up our agreement. We're consciously giving up our agreement with supporting with what doesn't work. Okay, we've come to that recognition. We're still working with the system, but we don't support it. We want to stay very focused and very real and very wonderful, always. Yes, it's really worth it, like the sun shining.
Bonga, Siambonga, Siambonga, Simbamundi, Siambonga, 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 Simbamundi, Siambonga.
The next question is, what you're doing as the new man on the earth. You're very focused on the earth. And there are many, many worlds and realms and over 2 trillion galaxies just in the physical. And then we have the astral level and many, many more levels, and many levels just in the astral realm: mental, etheric, causal, etc. And there are many types of beings. What's going on in the other places with these beings? Are the boys working with them, the real guides, and you as the new man, and a focus? How does the Islight go there? And for these individuals to become more aware and actually recognize the isness life is and the real universe is of pure sound and light, do they need to incarnate on the earth to do this?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's been asked many times. First of all, I will say that, as you said about the trillions of galaxies and dimensions and whatever, and yes, there is an opening for a management janitorial services. So if you're interested in maintaining those areas, I'm sure you'll qualify, okay? So that's number one. Basically, all right, you have to understand how life is. It's an isness. So what you've done is you've broken it down into all the puzzle pieces. From the is, it's all completeness. So it's how you see it. When you're on the earth, it's like, okay, we're on the earth, and there's Mars and Jupiter, and then you got trillions of stars and planets, whatever. It's like, what are all those other people doing? Well, guess what? These are all parallel realities. There's something else going on there. If the opportunity avails itself, in other words, let's look at the moon, which is, a fake planet, and who's on the moon? What's taking place there? Well, again, you're probably not going to find anything there because, there is a moon base hidden on the dark side. That's why they keep the moon like it is. There's a dark side and there's a light side. The moon never revolves because it's a fake planet. And so they keep the hidden bases on the dark side is what they do, so that they're not seen from the earth. Because there's a lot of little minions out there, besides NASA, who is with the dark side, with their little telescopes. And they're going to see what's going on. So they keep it so that it's always facing one way. The moon can really be just a giant disk, and you're just seeing one side of it. You don't know. So they're telling you it's round, but are you sure? It can just be a big reflective disk. Things are happening everywhere with this reality and with the guides and the boys. It's happening everywhere because it is the whole of life. But in our minds, we're only seeing the physical body here is all we're seeing. But it's actually happening simultaneously everywhere in its own particular way. But we don't need to be everywhere. I don't need to know what's going on everywhere because it's the same basic thing that's taking place here. You just focus in one place. And it's just like anything that you're doing in your life, all those people in their jobs and their situations and their personal lives and whatever, it's just like what you're doing. It's not important. But as you eventually have the bigger view, as you see it from the is, how the is sees it, you will see everything and how it's working. It's really cool how it is. That question is asked from the personal self, and it's understandable because it's in the pieces. Just like us on Earth, we're standing here looking up at the sky, but we're actually bigger than the sky. And we should take the view of looking down upon the sky. You see, it's where your view is and what you decide to recognize. You have to decide it, and then you'll eventually see it. It's all in that deciding. And this is where people have been fooled into thinking that, oh no, all you have to do is believe and have faith and hope that it will happen. Those three. And it never will. You know, like waiting for Jesus. It'll never happen. Simply because that's where you stay trapped, because you've agreed to stay trapped. You've agreed to not explore, not to enlarge your view, not to learn to do so, and even look for real guidance that equals that. Most people, they want to find a master, and they want spiritual growth and understanding, and that's all they want. So they just want more cute little ideas to play with so that they're cuddly and cozy. We are the great explorers. This is where I'm heading people on. The projects themselves, they actually create a magnification, the slingshot effect, to where people will better recognize the all is. It gets them out of their la-la land to take the risk and see more, take on this challenge to do so. It becomes the endless adventure. And it becomes real. And it's a good question. It really is. That is not going to explain that to a literalized professor in college. He's not going to take it. It's because they want to explore all the phenomena that's taking place. That kind of X's everything out because the all is an unknown. It can't be proven in any which way or even considered realistically. And anything that's considered about it is not so. That's not it. How do you get to this reality? How do you see it or recognize it? And that recognition cannot be shared. You see, we can share information, we can share ideas and get agreement with it. Like we can pass money around and say, here's $5, go buy ice cream. Oh, that's a reality in the physical sense. But sharing this recognition, no, we can't do that. Because it's where you stand that you must see it from that position. And everybody stands in their own position, so they must see it from there. What you're seeing, whatever you see of it, no, that's your position that you're standing in. They can learn to stand in your position. This is what the boys do. They can see what you're seeing. That's why they picked you, because they can see your intent. They give you the chance. And what you do with that is up to you. That becomes the adventure too. It's amazing how it is. Whenever there's one thing, whatever it is, the smallest thing, the so-called smallest thing, it could be an ant or a bug. It's endless. It has endless options to it. And so this is where we get locked in to certain ideas. And again, these become control factors, don't they? These ideas that are constantly agreed upon that become a routine, they become control factors is what they are. This is where we move around. We utilize things, but we don't want to become limited by them. It's not that you're trapped by them. There's a difference between being trapped and limited and tap line. There is a difference between these things. And there's a difference between knowing and unknowing effect. We are in this world and we're the effect of it. That's okay. We can handle it. And this is what we're going through. We can handle it because it all equals that recognition of the is. That must be it, because just the knowledge alone is worthless altogether. It's just like the boys in the past. They were not educated. I'm not an educated person. Not at all, not even close. The thing is, I've created my own education, which surpasses anything on the planet. That's a lot more fun. It's a real education. That's what we're doing. It's not about that, because this is secondary stuff. What is being implied here, no matter how many diplomas a person has, no matter how many degrees, That's secondhand. That's an implied education, like implied freedom. What we're learning here is real education. This supersedes everything. The reason that it's not accepted so much is because people cannot see it. You have to learn to see it. I would say children can see it. They laugh and giggle. It's like, oh yeah, that's how you, but parents, the adults, they can't see it because they're into their own secondary implied education, just like the ideas of freedom. They think, oh, we're free. We can walk around and cook what we want, go to the store. They think that's freedom. No, actually the roads and the sidewalks and everything were built for them to walk on, and that's where they're to go. It's all implied freedoms. But you recognize that. You are the effect of that, and it's a conscious effect, which is okay, which is nothing is negated. Now, Paul broke it down to even food, the ek foods and the cow foods. You know, again, this was the starting stages. That's like when you're a little baby and you have blocks. It's like, okay, this block is here and this block goes here, and this block says A on it and this one says B on it. And, you know, those were the babysitting stages. We're past that now. We're into the big adventure to recognize the is and to do something wonderful while we're here, because this triggers that. Plus, we bring in more people that are ready to be the risk takers, and we see their light, we recognize them, they recognize us, and it's all about that recognition. So everybody does better. It's not about a blind membership. There's a difference. It's not about how many people you have, like the religions of the world. They feel it's in numbers. So they don't care if the people, just like the people that vote, just like the people that are following the campaigns, these are unaware people, and that's what they want. They want the unaware masses. We don't. What if we had a bunch of unaware people here? All we'd have is chaos. That's why the world is chaos. You see, the controllers want unaware people. Now they have to deal with them. Yeah, they do. Plus all the karma they're making with their human farming. Well, we don't want the unaware people. We want the people that want to become more aware. That's where we're uniquely different. As we're on this endless adventure, even the simplest things become an awe, don't they? They become awesome. And this is where people, in a way, leave themselves. They think, well, I've got this. I got the basic idea. No, you don't. You have nothing, because it's endless. And you'll just be left behind if you don't keep up. A lot of people have missed a lot because they haven't been here. I see every meeting is very important, every single one, because there's always something. There's always something else. As a reminder, we need a lot of reminders, because we have these 5 bodies and we go get involved in the city life and whatever, and it seems so real, and it seems, you know, we have friends and relationships and we're happy and we're hugging each other, and that's all fine. But we forget what's really taking place many times, and we need reminders. We need a lot of help to keep us going. It's a choice. It's simply a choice. And again, that's why I've created the projects. You can go to your 9-to-5 cool job, 9-to-5 boring job, or you can become involved with the projects. And this is where your focus is always on what you're doing realistically. And that can be your life. It can be anything. You decide.